Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, True Crime Stories. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like button and subscribe so you can hear more. Thanks for stopping by. This one has Lee Southwood has been missing since January 25th of this year, 2025, from Breathitt County, Kentucky. The Breathitt County Sheriff's Office walked the banks of the Middle Fork of the Kentucky River looking for any clues into the disappearance of Lee Douglas Southwood. Officials searched the area near Bridge 30 at the mouth of Old Buck Creek. Officials would only confirm that he was a missing person, and they did not give any evidence of foul play at the time. He was reported missing in mid-February 2025 when he had not been seen or heard from in 3 weeks. Officials assume that he was last seen in the area close to the area that they were searching. He is described as a 54-year-old male who is 150 pounds and 6 feet tall. He has blue eyes and long sandy blonde hair with some gray. Crews from the Breathitt County Sheriff's Office and the Wolfe County Search and Rescue Squad combed the banks of Middle Fork of Kentucky River for more than 6 hours in search of Lee Southwood. The Wolfe County Rescue Squad divided their members into 2 teams and covered about a mile on foot and nearly 4 miles by boat. They were assisted by 2 cadaver dogs. As of now, this is a missing persons case, said Breathitt County Sheriff John Holland. We are investigating every aspect of this case and gathering as much information as we can. As the boat floated down the river, the search dogs sniffed the air and water for human remains. The second team searched the banks of the Old Buck Bridge and walked the river bank for a mile. Search crews said that the dogs became interested several times during the day but never settled on an alert to the presence of human remains. Cadaver dogs can smell human remains for some distance, and they can even find victims submerged in water. We have reason to believe that he might be in the water. I couldn't find any other articles about Lee Southwood, but there were some comments on the article that I did read, and some of the local people there say that he was known to ride a bicycle up and down the road. He may have had some mental health issues because one woman described that he was often seen talking to himself, and someone said that he was known to have colorful conversations with people, interesting conversations with people, but they didn't go into any detail. I don't know what led them to think that he might have been on the riverbank, if he was known to hang around the riverbank, if this man was homeless, or I don't know what led them to think that he went into the water. Lee Douglas Southwood has been missing since January. He was last seen at the end of January. One witness in the area reported that they had seen a man who they believed could have been Lee Southwood. They said that he looked very much like him, and he appeared to be homeless and disheveled, and that he was walking around in a local store or restaurant carrying some type of wooden box. But I don't know if the police or anyone went to that store and asked them to check the surveillance. It could have been a restaurant. Asked them to check the cameras or anything to see if it possibly could have been him. I would have reported that to the police and let them look into that. But there isn't a whole lot else to report, and I couldn't find any other images of Lee Southwood. But if anyone has any information about about Lee Southwood, they're encouraged to contact the Breathitt County Sheriff's Office. So this is the story on WYMT. This is dated March 6, 2017. The Monticello Police Department says rumors of murder and torture surrounding Dustin Lair's death are not true. Lair went missing May 28, 2016. At the time of his disappearance, police say Lair was wanted on a number of active arrest warrants by the police, Wayne County Sheriff's Office, and Kentucky State Police. Police found his body in a cave on Trails End Street in Monticello on September the 6th, 2016. Police say he was fully dressed and had all of his personal items, including his wallet and cell phone. After an extensive investigation, the medical examiner's office said he died from blunt force injuries sustained from a fall from a height. The exam determined Lair was also using methamphetamine and gabapentin at the time of his death. The police ruled the classification of his death as accidental. Now, from what I gathered from the other links that were sent to me, family members and friends of this man didn't believe the police's theories. Because this man was he was wanted by the police, he was running from the police, or at least that was the story. It was a cover-up. Now this is theories, and I'm just repeating. This goes back a little farther before he was found. This is dated June 16, 2016, and this is from ABC 36 on your side from Lexington, Kentucky. The Monticello Police Department is seeking the public's help for any information in reference to a missing persons case. Officers say 32-year-old Dustin Wade Lair could be in imminent danger. Okay, so they say he could be in imminent danger here, yet after he was discovered, he died from blunt force trauma, and they said it was from a fall. According to police, the last time anyone had contact with him was by a telephone message on May the 28th. So apparently this young man had had some trouble with the police in his life. He'd been arrested, and so really this was investigated as an accidental death. It was ruled an accidental death, even though he was on the run and hiding out. Were there other people that he had gotten in trouble with? Was it thought he was in imminent danger because of maybe, to say that someone was believed to have been in imminent danger and then say it was an accidental death? The only thing I have to ask is, who was he supposed to have been in imminent danger from? It doesn't go into that detail. It doesn't say he was in imminent danger from a drug dealer maybe, or someone he owed money to, someone he had done wrong, or was it from the police themselves? You know, that seems to be a little bit of the feeling in the community. I will read his obituary here. I'm sure there were rumor mills going around, and a lot of people were probably commenting on a lot of different things about this, but I couldn't find anything about it. This is his obituary. Dustin Wade Lair, age 32, the son of Susan Denise Lair and the late Charles Gordon Burke. He passed away May the 16th, 2016. He is survived by two sons, Brady Wade Lair and Noah Brent Lair, and his sisters, Helena Lair and Jessica Hatcher. Dustin served his country with honor during the Iraq War. He accepted Jesus Christ as his Savior and was baptized and was a member of the Cooper Baptist Church. So, the fact that he served in the Iraq War, that brings a little bit more to this story. He was a veteran. He may have had some post-traumatic stress. That may be one of the reasons why he had gotten involved in drugs, if he was indeed using drugs. The autopsy report says that he was, and it's sad that I wasn't able to find any more information about him. Especially once I learned that he was an Iraq War veteran, because that could add to a lot to do with how, his life turned out toward the end when he got involved in these behaviors and activities. Missing veteran alert, Kentucky Iraq veteran. This is dated July 16th, 2016. This is from the woundedtimes.org, which is a website for veterans. The search has intensified for an Iraq veteran missing since Memorial Day weekend. That could have been something that set this guy off. Memorial Day, remembering the men that he served with, remembering what he had gone through in Iraq. It just goes on to say that his mother was offering a reward to help find him. They have gone unanswered. I really can't give much more detail on this case. I wish I did have more. And whatever happened to this guy, like I said, if I find anything else about what the police were indicating they thought the danger was, the person that sent me this information says that in the area there, in the town where this took place at, the overall I don't want to say rumors, but the overall talk and feeling was that this was not an accidental death, and that they believe something more may have happened to him. Our investigation is leading us to believe that he is not in very good health. We are hearing that there may have been some bad things that happened to him, very possibly mixed up with some people that wanted to do him harm, or maybe he was in a mindset of self-harm. The police ruled this an accidental death, so that's where it stands. I remember this story somewhat. Some of it I'm going by memory of what I remember about reading at the time that it happened. Now, this was a man, and this man's name was Doyle Swiney. And this was a man who, it was rumored and it was said, was somewhat a type of person that liked to kind of be a little bit of a braggart. Not so much that he just caught people's attention. He would go into a store, restaurant, a bar, or whatever, and he was known to carry a wad of money. So he might pull out this, pull out his wallet or pull it out of his pocket or whatever and flash around some big bills. And this caught the attention of some people. And he became acquainted with a couple of people who saw this, and it was also rumored, and this may be part of the story, but like I said, I couldn't get a lot of the links to open, so it was hard for me to find details. And I don't want to provide false information, but just from my own memory of what I was told and read at the time that this took place, it was thought that he probably had prescription medications like narcotics. So it's believed that this man became acquainted with some people who saw this and decided this man would be someone that would be easily taken advantage of. Victim was robbed and 4 were arrested, and this was in Morgan County, Kentucky. A Morgan County man was found murdered early Saturday. Okay, this was July 25th, 2007. A Morgan County man was found murdered early Saturday morning following a tip believed to have come from someone involved in his death. 4 people, including a Morgan County juvenile, have been arrested and charged with connection to this man's death. The body of Doyle Swiney, age 59, of Dittany Ridge, was located in North Fork Creek near the old rock quarry off Kentucky 711 in the Daniel Boone National Forest. Now, it's my understanding, and from my memory of reading about this, his son or sons had been trying to reach him and had been trying to contact him. And after a day or two, when he wasn't responding to their calls, they became worried about him. And it seems like they may have reached out to the local sheriff in the county, because it's my understanding they lived about 2 hours or so away. Now, the sheriff, Mickey Witt, who was contacted earlier regarding information about the body. So someone had contacted the sheriff's office and they told him, this guy that you all are looking for, here's where you can find him. Sheriff's Deputy Kenny Doolin said the West Liberty Police Department received a call on Friday that an abandoned vehicle had been found near the quarry. Upon investigation, Doolin and a constable determined that the vehicle belonged to Doyle Swiney. He had been missing for a couple of days, and they had been contacted by his sons, Darrell and Darren, and they lived in Pike County, Kentucky. So they had contacted the sheriff. They said, we've not been able to reach our dad. We've not heard from him. Can you, somebody check on him? At about 3:15 a.m. on Saturday, Sheriff Witt received a call at his home. This person claimed to have witnessed Swiney's murder. The subject felt guilty and gave information to the sheriff about where the body was located. According to the sheriff, he says, I took the subject to the location and found the body in the creek. He then contacted sheriff's deputies and the U.S. Forestry Service. The coroner determined that Swiney had apparently been struck in the head with a baseball bat, which authorities later recovered. According to witnesses, this person said that 2 women who were later arrested, and I believe one of these was the juvenile in question here, they had contacted Doyle Swiney. They'd come into contact with him in some way. They became friendly with him. Like I said, it was rumored that he was known to carry money and prescription pain medication. So apparently, according to them, and when they went to trial, they had contacted him and told them that their vehicle was broke down, that they couldn't get a ride home, and asked him to come and give them a ride. That he went to meet with them thinking that he was just going to pick them up and give them a ride home. And when he got there, got out of his vehicle, I don't know if he was struck right then. Someone came up behind him unexpectedly and struck him, and then they robbed him and then took his body out to this creek, or if these girls lured him out there. Now, in one story that I was able to read, they told him when he got there, the girls decided, hey, instead of us just going back home, why don't we just hang out and let's go swimming? So he accompanied them out to this swimming hole that was near this creek. But when he gets out there, he's attacked and beaten up and robbed. Jonathan Brown, Michael McDavid, and Jacqueline Ferguson. According to the Kentucky Prisoner website, Jacqueline Ferguson is in jail in Rowan County, or she was arrested in Rowan County, So apparently she had served her time for this offense and was released. On August 27, 2007, Brown was indicted by a Morgan County grand jury on one count of capital murder, one count of first-degree robbery, and one count of being a persistent felony offender. The charges arose from a series of events that culminated from the murder of Doyle Swiney on July 17, 2007. The Commonwealth advised that they would seek the death penalty in Brown's case. Jacqueline Ferguson and Michael McDonald were present at the time of the murder and were arrested in conjunction with Swiney's death. Cassie Kidd, who was a minor at the time, was also arrested and charged with conjunction with the murder. Brown entered a guilty plea on January 30th, 2009. The plea set forth a recommended sentence of 50 years in prison on the murder count and 20 years on the robbery count, which was enhanced to 25 years as a result of him being a persistent felony offender. Brown admitted to striking Swiney over the head with a baseball bat and robbing him when he was unconscious. So he comes up, he strikes this man in the head with a baseball bat. The man passes out, or, it blacks him out. And then he goes through his pockets, he robs him. Brown claims that this man, Doyle Swiney, was a known pedophile and drug dealer who attempted to prey on someone close to him. So he's saying that he killed Doyle Swiney because he was preying on an underage girl. He was the type of person that liked to get attention from women. He probably felt very important when these girls reached out to him to say, come give us a ride. Now, Doyle Swiney, as far as I know, was never arrested. He was never questioned in any type of pedophile behaviors. He may have been arrested. I'm not saying he never was. I'm saying in connection to anything to do with being a pedophile. Or no one ever accused him of that in his earlier life that I know of. Couldn't find anything suggesting that he had done anything like that in his past. The women here were late teens, so yeah, they were underage girls, but not children, and they were telling this man, hey, come hang out with us and swim and let's party. They're trying to come up with this. He was trying to get the plea amended because he's saying he acted in a rash moment of rage toward this man because he was trying to connect with this child as a pedophile. But that's kind of, I think the court didn't really take that into consideration. And they're saying also that, okay, you find out this man's pursuing this underage girl and you become outraged and you grab your baseball bat and you smack him in the head with it. What led you to rob him? So they're saying, we don't believe this story that you're telling, that this man was trying to lure this underage child, but that you set him up. These young women lured him into a setup to be attacked and murdered and robbed. Why not report it to police if you thought an older man was trying to pursue a child? But even she herself told the sheriff, we called him and told him to come meet us to give us a ride, and then attacked him. So they knew ahead of time that this was going to happen. Whether or not they knew that he was going to be murdered, they knew he was going to be robbed. So the testimony before the grand jury indicates that Brown came up with the plan to rob Swiney and none of the witnesses indicated that Brown was enraged or acting anything to do with Swiney pursuing this girl. It had all to do with the robbery. The evidence also indicates that the windows of Swiney's car were shattered and items inside the car were also taken. So there was evidence of premeditation. Now, they're saying that had Brown proceeded to trial, the Commonwealth would have sought the death penalty. He is expected to serve until 2057. He's been incarcerated since January 30th, 2009. So those three testified against Brown, and they got lesser sentences. He's still incarcerated for this murder and is expected to serve quite a few more years. Michael Brandon McDavid. So his institution date started January 30th, 2009. He's expected to be released in 2029. He's eligible for parole in 2026. And that was really all I could find on this. And so their defense of this man was a pedophile and he was after this child and we killed him to prevent this from happening. That didn't hold water. The court said, no, you lured the man out there and you beat him to death and you robbed him and left him there in the creek. Now, whether or not Doyle Swiney was dead at the time that they walked off and left him, they may have injured him so badly that he couldn't get help. And so he did die. Whether or not he died right then, I don't know if the coroner was able to determine that or not. So this Jonathan Brown, he tried to paint Doyle Swiney as a pedophile. He tried to paint him as some type of predator. But even the people that was with him testified that that wasn't the reason that didn't happen, that they killed the man because he carried large sums of money. They struck him in the head with a bat. I don't know if their intention was to murder him, but they struck him with this ball bat. They beat him. They left him in this water to die or to try to get his own way out of there. They busted up his truck. They stole items out of his truck. They stole items from his body. And Doyle Swiney, from what I was able to learn, was a Vietnam veteran. He served his country. He was a coal miner. He was a father of two and a grandfather, and there was never anything in his past history or anyone that knew him that ever would have said, that there was any reason to see him as a predator toward children or anything. Like I said, he was thought to be the type of person that, having a little bit of extra money in his pocket, he liked to kind of, maybe buy a round in a bar or just kind of purchase items, and he wasn't shy about being able to afford what he wanted, I guess. And these people saw this man. They saw someone that maybe he was known to carry prescription pain pills. Maybe they bummed from him or bought from him, and maybe they saw this opportunity to maybe they knew when he had gotten medications filled, and they knew that he would probably have these on him or in his truck, and that's probably why they busted his windows out of his truck. And they basically murdered this man for money and pills, and not because he had tried to do anything illicit towards a young child. That was just all made up in the minds of this Jonathan Brown and his defense. Someone who watched one of my videos commented and said that I should do a story about this man. So I hope I'm saying this name right, and I apologize if I'm not. This is about Nick Kintigos. Kintigos. And I'm just going to read some different articles that I have found about him. This is from Facebook. Nick Kintigos from Greenup County, Kentucky, last seen went missing November the 15th, 2020. He was last seen by a family member. Possible last known whereabouts were Clay Lick Road or Cherokee Lake region in Greenup County. And it goes on to say, if you have any information or you've seen him, please contact the Greenup County Sheriff's Office at 1-606-473-7037. Kentucky State Police are investigating after a man went missing. Troopers say Nicholas Kintigos was last seen. He was last seen November of 2020 in Greenup County. There have been no activities on his phone or his bank records. I don't want to read disparaging things about a missing person, but sometimes there's more to a person's life than we know about. And whether or not this is related, has anything to do with him going missing or not. But I'm just going to read, like I said, I'm just going through some different articles about him. This goes all the way back to 2006. An Eastern Kentucky couple is charged with going to an elementary school and trying to get a urine specimen from a nephew and other kids for the man to use in a drug test. Nick Kintigos, 37, and his wife Teresa went to a school to solicit a clean urine sample so Nick could take a drug test. Scott Brown, the communications supervisor with Greenup County 911, said Nick needed a clean urine sample to use for a drug test at his job. Brown said he is unsure where Kintigos was employed. Nick Kintigos allegedly took the boy into the restroom at the school, but he was unable to produce the urine. Two other boys walked into the restroom and he asked them to pee for him. The boys left the restroom and told a teacher what happened, and they called 911. The couple was arrested at their home. Both were charged with 2 counts of disorderly conduct and criminal trespassing. Nick was also charged with attempt to commit identity theft. And so, like I say, that it may just show the type of lifestyle that he was living, but keep in mind, this was 14 years prior to him going missing. This is from 2013. Couple accused of running a meth lab. A man and woman accused of running a meth lab with children present were among those indicted last week by a Greenup County grand jury. Nick Kintigos and Melissa Gillum, 27, were both charged with manufacturing meth and 2 counts of controlled substance endangerment to a child. First-degree drug possession, drug paraphernalia, resisting arrest, menacing, and second-degree persistent felony offenses were also added on to the charges against Nick. The meth charge is a Class B felony that carries a 10 to 20-year prison sentence. So before I read on, I'm going to ask the question, had he gone to prison? Had he been released? Or was he looking at possibly going back to prison, maybe a parole violation perhaps? I don't know. They were arrested January the 4th after deputies and Kentucky State Troopers went to their home to serve papers. When the officers entered, they discovered the meth lab in a back bedroom. The officers immediately evacuated the children that were present and secured the lab. As deputies were arresting the two, Kintigos became violent and had to be subdued. The deputy was conducting a search and was jabbed by a hypodermic needle that he found in the man's pocket. So when I started this video, I had no idea about any of this, and I had no idea that I was going to run into these stories about this man. but it kind of gives you an idea of what might have happened. It's possible that he ran off to avoid going back to jail again. I don't know. I'm just speculating. It's just my own personal thoughts. The fact that he's not listed on NamUs says to me that this attempt to locate is more of a criminal situation than they consider him to be an endangered missing person. So it's almost as though, and he is also not listed on Unsolved Appalachia. So all I can say right now is I'm going to do a little bit more research on this, and if I can come up with more information about him, I will post it. Thanks for watching.